you by my side. My world feels empty now, the pain builds up inside. I tried so many times to imagine that you're here. Pretend you're coming back, pretend that you're still near, but it's no use now, you've moved on. But just remember this, you got a piece of my heart. So please remember me, my love. Don't ever wash away those tears we both cried. And as we go our separate ways, I remember you each day. And maybe one day you'll return with my broken heart. Another lonely day, another sleepless night. I wonder what you're feeling and who's now by your side. I wish I could have changed the way the story goes, rewrite my life with you, and whisper one more time, amore mio, ti amo. 'Cause it's not easy to move on while I'm still so lost in you. You've got a piece of my heart, so please remember me, my love. Don't ever wash away those tears we both cried. And as we go our separate ways, I remember you each day. And maybe one day you'll return with my broken heart. This heart of mine belongs to you. You're so deep inside my soul. When two hearts beat as one, don't ever let go. Baby, just remember this. So my heart. Remember my love. We both cried. And as we go separate ways, I remember each day. One day you return with my heart someday. So please remember me, my love. Don't ever wash away those tears we both cried. So never wash away those tears each day of my life. One day you return, you stay in my life. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright.
And hello, everybody in sign language, friends and family. Such a joy to be here today. I'm very happy again to to be here today with you. 91 days together, non-stop, ever since this COVID-19 started. Not only me here in my living room, you there at home with me. Of course, a lot of you are watching from New York City and the East Coast of the United States, so it's 5 p.m. for you guys. I hope you're doing great. 4 p.m. Central Time. Hopefully we're going to have a lot of Central Time people today because my guest is from Central Time area, from Chicago, Illinois. And of course, buonasera, quasi buonanotte per voi che ci guardate dall'Italia perché sono le ore 23 di sera e quasi ora di andare a dormire. 22 England and Ireland. I see a lot of you already appearing there. You guys have been with me for such a long time, 91 days. So it's 3 months. 3 months and 1 day. We're going to have 100th episode, big celebration soon. And good morning for all of you in Australia. I've learned in Australia now for you is early in the morning, even 5 or 7, and I see you all guys there writing on the chat on YouTube and Facebook and Twitch and Periscope and Twitter, so many platforms, I mean, right? And a few of them I have discovered because I've never heard of Twitch and Periscope, to be honest. Of course, I knew of LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook and YouTube, and now look at us. We, this COVID-19, we have learned and discovered so many great things. And so thank you and welcome to everybody that is watching today again, 91 day, 91st day. Of course, I'm Giada Valenti here in Las Vegas, sunny, shiny, like every day. But you all know that I was born and raised in Venice, Italy. Sign language for the city, for the gondola, the city with the water and the beautiful boots of Italy. Another sign that we have learned together. And we have learned also, I love you, right? I love you all. And I know you love me back. You always write me the most beautiful messages and I'm very grateful for that. We will be talking later about the concert coming up, the live streaming concert on June 26th. Some of you had some question where to buy tickets and blah, blah, blah. We'll be talking later. And we're going to do also at the end of the show, I move everything at the end, after my guest, the birthday and the events of the day. I know that you guys, every day I'm looking forward to birthday and events of the day. But my guest today is a legend. He's busy. He's a busy man. He has, I don't know, 37 interviews a day. We're only 24 hours and he does so many interviews. But listen to this. My guest today, you know, you were all excited because I mentioned him in the last couple of days and you were like, oh, wow, you're all looking forward to see him. I see all your messages there, guy. Is Tom Dreesen. Tom Dreesen, of course, is a legend. I was yesterday, you know, a couple of days before I have my guest, I dig into the lives and I read the stuff, and this is really impressive. Listen, I know you know, but I was educating myself, you know, I'm new in this country, but listen to this. He's an American living legend. Yeah, and you will see he's still handsome and quite young and good looking like it was. So, but he's a living legend and he has made over 500 appearances on national television as a stand-up comedian. Sign for stand-up comedian? Stand-up comedian. Stand-up comedian. Yes, and he's also an actor. Yeah, all sign language we have been learning thanks to Diane Fiorentino. So he has done 500 appearances on national television as stand-up comedian and more than 60 appearances on The Tonight Show. Yes, The Tonight Show. He's always been a favorite guest of David Letterman. They are good friends since a long time. I will have a few questions because, you know, I'm obsessed with David Letterman as well. And he has also frequently hosted the show when Letterman was sick. I remember when he had also his heart surgery. For 13 years, he has toured cross-country and opened from the one and only Frank Sinatra. Yes, we love him. We talk a lot about him. And he has appeared countless times in Las Vegas, Tahoe, Reno, Atlantic City with artists like Smokey Robinson, Liza Minnelli, Natalie Cole, and Sammy Davis Jr. Tom has acted in numerous television shows from Columbo, Murder, She Wrote, all our favorite, and has appeared in motion pictures including Moon on Demand and Spaceballs. All this stuff I got from the internet. Well, he has recorded also comedy albums and starred on his own TV comedy special, Dreesen Street, and hosted a late talk show in Chicago, The Nighttime, starring Tom Dreesen, of course. Daily Variety call him a true pro, one of the most respected family comedian of our time. Perfect for our program because we are all family here. Larry Wilde, author of The Great Comedians, said about Tom's performances is excellent material, impeccable timing. Tom Dreesen is the essential comedian. Difficult word for an Italian to say. Quintessential comedians. Thank you for making me learn new words. Well, Frank Sinatra, who called himself a saloon singer, believe it or not, characterized Dreesen, our Tom today, as a saloon comedian. We are a couple of neighborhood kids, kind of guys. That's what Frank Sinatra said. He has also made an indelible mark with his philanthropic activities. We will be talking about it. For 30 years, he has lent his talent to over 1,000 charities and founded a Day for Darlene to benefit multiple sclerosis research. Amazing. And he ran 26 miles on 3 occasions for event which is named for his late sister who was affected with MS. A proud veteran, you know how much we care about our veterans here in this program, of the United States Navy. He continues to perform for the USA troops, probably not now with COVID-19, but he has done that and happened in numerous bases in Iraq. Tom Dreesen's hometown of Arvin, Illinois, I know many Chicago people are watching, I see you there, has a name street after him. And in 2005, he was also recipient of the prestigious Ellis Island Medal of Honor. We had also Tony Orlando as our guest, and we talk also about that. And actually, we show pictures of Tom Dreesen, I remember that. In his new book, Still Standing, My Journey from Streets and Saloon to the Stage and Sinatra, it's a remarkable, extraordinary, an iconic 50-year career in show business. That's what this book is telling. And it's finally revealed through a brutally honest, deeply reflective, and highly entertaining personal memoir. That's what I got from the... By the way, I need to thank Johnny to arrange my guest today. And I read something from my favorite actor and then I introduce him to you. Clint Eastwood. We love him. We talk about him a lot. This is what he writes about the book of Tom. He said, "This is the life story of a street kid who turned the hard times into funny monologues on national television and stages across the country. Wherever on stage or just sitting around with him after a round of golf," yes, he's a lover too, "he never fails to make me laugh, and I guarantee you will too." I briefly talked with Tom yesterday on the phone because unfortunately, so far, all the people were my friend. This one I've never met, but I fell in love with the man. He's kind. Just to tell you something, an iconic, legendary man like him spent at least an hour trying to arrange Skype to be my guest today and to be here with all of us. That's kind of remarkable. A true, fantastic gentleman, and he's here with us, Tom Dreesen. Tom, are you there?
Yes, I am. But what I want to tell you that, I want to tell you my career wasn't as long as that introduction.
Well, you still look like a kid of 16 years old, but you've been in this business for 50 years at the highest level?
Yeah, I'm celebrating my 50th year in show business. By the way, is my background screen flashing back and forth? Because there's something...
A little bit, yes. It's new technologies.
I wonder if I could eliminate that. JJ, tell me how I could eliminate that?
By switching off the background, which you probably don't want.
What do I switch?
How does he switch? Ladies and gentlemen, this is a live streaming and Tom is trying to get rid of the background.
Yeah. It said call layout. I could probably click that, right?
Let's see what's happening. Try.
Okay, I'll click that. It says window, float, enter full screen. What do I touch?
Well, Tom, but nevertheless, the background is a little flashy, but your face looks handsome. I think everybody agree. What is people saying? Hello. They're saying hello, Tom. You look great, they say. So don't you worry.
I got to tell you, that was a wonderful introduction. Thank you, Giada. But one thing that made me laugh, whenever you're talking about someone's rear end, they used to call it the moon. Boy, look at the moon on that. I was in a movie called Man on the Moon. You said I was in a movie called Moon on the Man.
Did I say that? Oh, you can make a joke about me. Moon on the Man. Hey.
Moon on the Man. So it might have been a movie about a guy with a big rear end, is what I'm saying. But
so guys, really... that's a new movie that Tom will be starring soon.
Yeah. Yeah, but thank you very much for that wonderful.
No, thank you, Tom, for being with us. I mean, I know everybody knows everything about you because an iconic person are you, but I mean, I'm new in this country, so can you just, for the people just like me, because we have also a lot of people in Europe and as you heard all over the world, can you tell us where is Tom Dreesen coming from?
Well, I'm a lucky, I say lucky, that's what my book is about. And it's a cheap plug, but it's sort of,
Yes.
but it's still standing, you know. Can we do that? Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow,
you see,
where?
we have the back. I'm gonna show the. Yeah, now, yeah, there he is. I'm gonna show the picture. There he is, still standing. Tom
Well-
Dreesen, inspiring life story and legendary career in stand-up comedy. So, talk about your book.
Well, that's what the book is about. Is about I've been knocked down a lot in my life. But I kept getting back up again. And I've been a stand-up comedian for 50 years, so it's a double entendre, still standing. But I grew up in the south side of Chicago, a suburb called Harvey, Illinois. And it was, the town was full of steel mills and factories, and they made everything from clutch plates to crankshafts, a lot of blue-collar people. And steel mills, factories all over, but also taverns all over. So I had 8 brothers and sisters. We lived in a shack besides a factory. Excuse me, when I was a little boy, I went out with my shoe shine box every day, shining shoes in the cold winter in all the taverns. There were 36 taverns in my town, but 8 in my neighborhood. And I'd shine shoes in all these taverns. And while I was on my hands and knees, Frank Sinatra was on the jukebox singing. And the book is about that little boy that go out every morning in the cold and shining shoes to raise money to feed his brothers and sisters, and then hearing Sinatra on the jukebox, and then one day carrying his coffin out of a church in Beverly Hills, California. So it's the journey of that little boy, and that's what the book is all about that journey. And I say that I struggled throughout my whole life. At 16, I dropped out of high school. I went into the Navy when I was 17.
Wow.
Got a high school diploma from the Navy. I started reading, because both my parents were alcoholic at one time.
Oh,
So I started reading every book I could find on positive mental attitude. Norman Vincent Peale, The Power of Positive Thinking, A Guide to Confident Living. Joseph Murphy, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. And I began to apply all these sciences to my life to try to, the negative background that I came from, that I could be something one day. And as it turned out, today I give motivation speeches all around the country on 4 subjects: on perception, visualization, self-talk, and develop a sense of humor. And I elaborate on those 4 subjects. But it all came from my struggle as a kid growing up. Even when I came out of the service, got married, had 3 kids, wandering aimlessly, could not find what it was in life that I wanted to do. And every job I had, I would do well, but then I would get bored with it. And I didn't feel fulfilled. And I began to pray. You know, I was in the bars with my buddies some nights at 1 o'clock in the morning, drinking beer and thinking, I don't belong here, but I didn't know where I belonged. So I just began to pray. I said, God, this can't be what you want me to do. Show me the way. And all of a sudden, my life began to change. I ended up getting into a civic group called the JCs. They worked on all the problems of the community. And they would teach you leadership by solving the problems of your community, working on projects. They teach you how to chair a committee, how to serve on a committee, and how to get, they were young men of action, and taught you leadership. So one of the biggest problems in our community at that time in Harvey were our youth were using drugs. So I wrote a drug education program teaching grade school children the ills of drug abuse with humor. It's a concept I had, that they weren't teaching drug education at a college level or a high school level, let alone at an elementary school level. So I wrote this program, and helping me with the program as a godsend was a young black man by the name of Tim Reed. And he had just gotten out of college. I had just gotten out of service. And it was terrible times in America. There were race riots in all the major cities in America, including the neighborhood I grew up in. Students were protesting the Vietnam War, you know, and it was a lot of turmoil. And here we became America's first black and white comedy team. What happened was we went in the schools and taught drug education, got the kids laughing, having fun. Yeah, there's a picture, great picture. Yeah, that's us teaching the children. And then one day, a little 8th grade girl, the program became very successful. And one day, a little 8th grade girl leaving the classroom stopped and she said, "You guys are funny. You ought to become a comedy team." And the thought of a black-white comedy team intrigued us because no one had ever done that before. So we became America's first black and white comedy team, and history shows we were the last. We stayed together for 6 years, and the team finally broke up. Tim went on to become a wonderful actor that's in many series, WKRP Cincinnati, Sister, so many series. And then another series called Simon and Simon, and then I went on to become a stand-up comedian. But again, struggling again. The team broke up. I'm broke. My wife and kids in Chicago. I'm out here in Hollywood, sleeping in an old car, not my car, an abandoned car, an Ash Rambler, and I'm hitchhiking up and down Sunset Boulevard. I mean, I'm begging to work for free at the Comedy Store. And I finally got on, after a while, a year later, working on material, I got on The Tonight Show, and my whole life changed. The first night I did the Tonight Show, the whole world opened up to me. I've since done 61 appearances, as you pointed out. And I began to tour with Sammy Davis Jr. and James Darren, our old friend, you know.
Yeah.
I toured with Sammy Davis Jr. I toured with Smokey Robinson, Natalie Cole, Gladys Knight and the Pips, so many different acts. And then finally on to Frank Sinatra. And for 14 years, his opening act till the day he died. And I was a pallbearer at his funeral, and I spoke at his funeral.
Wow.
And I miss him every single day of my life.
How did you get in contact with Frank Sinatra? He came to you. How did you guys met? Because I know he's been like a mentor for you. You're probably. I interview many people who met Frank Sinatra, but you were very close to him, right? You knew him inside out.
I might be the last living human being that knew him that well, aside from his children, his two children that are left today. But he was at first the boss because we were on tour all the time, doing 45, 50 cities a year and 20,000 seat arenas and 40,000 in Hawaii and all that stuff. And he was the boss. But he later became a buddy. And then he became like a father to me toward the end of our life. See that picture on the left? I love that picture because he never would say, you know, love you. He'd always sock me on the jaw and he'd say, love you, pal. He'd go, love you, pal. And he'd give me a little sock, you know. And the reason why I treasure that picture, because at the end of his life, when he didn't have long to live, I was visiting him, and I was getting ready to leave, and he said to me, "Oh, that's our 10th anniversary together."
Yeah.
And then there's another picture of that where, we're at the Civic Opera House in Chicago. But anyhow, one night I was getting ready to leave. He said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to visit the family." He said, "Oh, give your family my best." And I said, "Okay." And he said to me, he was ill. And he had like a blanket on. He said, "You know, I love you, Tommy." And I was taken aback because he never said that. He would sock me on the jaw and say, "Love you, pal. Love you, pal." You know. But this night he said, "You know, I love you, Tommy." And I got all choked up because he never said that. And I said, "Hey, I love you too, Frank." And I said, "Hey, get well. We'll go back on the road again," knowing that he was never going to go on the road. And I don't know why I said it. And I could have bit my tongue, but I said, "Get well. We'll go back on the road again." And he put his hand on my cheek. He said, "You're going to have to go on the road by yourself from now on, Tommy." And that's when I knew that he knew he was never going to sing again. And it just crushed me. And I went outside and I had tears in my eyes. His wife, Barbara, followed me out and she said, "Are you all right?" I said, "Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine." I said, "But that was kind of painful." She said, "I know." She said, "Keep coming. He loves to see you." And I kept going to see him until he died, you know. But we had some wonderful, wonderful times together. He taught me so many things, and especially about the stage and even about life, you know. He was an amazing, amazing man.
Oh, I mean, this story, I can make you talk for 27 hours about Frank Sinatra. We're all fascinated about him. So, and you said so. There are so many things that have been said about Frank Sinatra, his connections, his to the mobs and whatever. But I mean, I was good friend with Phil Ramone, Greg Field, who played. Maybe when you were playing with Frank Sinatra, was Greg Field drumming with you guys?
One of the greatest drummers of all time, Greg Field.
Another dear friend of mine. Yeah. So I heard so many stories, but so it's nice to hear that maybe he had those connections with the mobs. Who knows? But he was a kind man, right? Can you say that?
Can I answer that question? Two questions. I'll answer the kindness. When they say, did he, first of all, I could talk about Frank Sinatra at a university for an hour and a half, and at the end of the talk, I'll talk about his brilliant acting, his brilliant singing, his philanthropy, his kindness to everybody. I could talk about that for an hour and a half, and at the end I'll say, "Are there any questions?" And somebody will raise their hand and say, "Was Frank Sinatra in the mafia?"
I know.
But what I say about that is that, you know, did he know those people? So did I. So did any entertainer who worked in the business in those days. They not only owned all the nightclubs, and not all, but the majority of the nightclubs. Las Vegas. They owned Las Vegas. They owned the record companies. They owned the jukeboxes. The jukeboxes in every bar in the United States was run by the mob, the syndicate. So did you know those people? Of course you know those people. You know, if you're Italian, where I grew up, if you went to a wedding or a funeral, somebody was going to be there, you know. The only problem that I've always had with that is the Italian side of my family were hardworking, honorable people, and they despised mafia. And the movie The Godfather, the problem with it, it glorified
Yeah.
that lifestyle. But that being said, that was one of the mystiques of Frank Sinatra. Why was this man so larger than life? First of all, he's the greatest pop singer of all time.
Without doubt.
But we forget what a brilliant actor he was. He won the Academy Award in From Here to Eternity. He should have won it in The Man with the Golden Arm, The Manchurian Candidate, a movie called Suddenly, all the Von Ryan's Express. I was sitting one night with him, Gregory Peck, Kirk Douglas, Jack Lemmon, Clint Eastwood, and Robert Wagner. And it was 3 o'clock in the morning. They were all sitting around drinking, and they started talking about movies and film. And I was fascinated these were people I had seen in the movies when I was a little boy. And I was fascinated hearing them. But I was also fascinated how much reverence they were showing to Frank. So I just was curious. I'm an actor myself. So I said, I wonder where he studied. I said, Frank, did you ever study acting? And Gregory Peck grabbed my arm and said, acting lessons would have ruined him. He was a diamond in the rough you didn't fool with. This is a man who danced with Gene Kelly, for God's sake. I'll tell you that story in a minute.
Yeah.
That's a great story about church, that picture. But my point of that is that this man, when you gave Frank Sinatra a song, to him it was a script. What did the writer feel the night the writer took pen in hand? Frank would immerse himself in the lyric and become that lonely guy in the bar whose woman left him, and he's never going to find love again. And you felt that. You felt that, how vulnerable he was in a song, as well as the joy of a song. Come fly with me, everything he did, even when he sang the song, Fly Me to the Moon, I had heard that song 1,000 times. And one night watching him sing it, I now realize what that song meant. He said, fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars, let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand, because when you hold my hand, that's what happens to me. I had heard that song for years and but when I heard Frank sing it, I heard it for the first time. He went to the studio 1,431 times. He recorded over 100 albums, over 1,200 original songs written specifically for him. He was this extraordinary talent that Gregory Peck said, you don't fool with that diamond. That's a diamond in the rough, And that aside, his kindness that you brought up, there's no describing the benevolence of this man. You'll never know all the things that he did because he didn't want you to know. There's a great book called The Magnificent Obsession, written by Lloyd C. Douglas. It became a movie. Its predecessor was a book called Dr. Hudson's Secret Journal. But The Magnificent Obsession by Lloyd C. Douglas became a movie. And I know Frank read that movie. In the book, if you want to know the secret of success, if you want to become successful, that once you ask your master, the old religious proverb, ask and you shall receive. Once you ask your master what it is you want, I want to be a comedian, I want to be a singer, a dancer, or a doctor. Once you ask, you have to believe with all your heart you're going to receive. But if you believe that, then you have to search your life, every day of your life. And if there's someone you can help, one of God's less fortunate children, if you can help them without them knowing it, then within 30 days, your master will reward you towards your endeavor. And I believe Frank Sinatra read that book because we talked about all the books he read, but he practiced that philosophy. He would do things for people and he didn't want them to know. If he picked up a newspaper and read that a girl had a brain tumor, a child, and she lived in Albuquerque, New Mexico, in a boxcar, the next day somebody would be delivering a check to that family for that surgery, and the person delivering the check did not know where it came from because he didn't want you to know where it came from.
Well, it's so beautiful that you share all these things because we all have, of course, ideas of who the person were, and we don't know for sure. So it's nice to hear from you that you were next to the man. And I know that a lot of people, good people, they do a lot of good things, and nobody talks about it. All these stories and more. We can find everything in your latest book, right? And what moved you to write this book? Because you are too young to write a memoir. Come on, come on.
By the way, they can get it on Amazon or at Barnes & Noble. But I tell you, I all the years I toured, I would journal. Something interesting would happen. I'd say, and I'd go back to my room that night and I'd journal. And then I began to collect all these stories, and I got files all over the place of stories. And then the end of my book, and I won't get into it now, But I was faced with a crisis, a real life crisis. And again, I attribute the title, I'm Still Standing, you know. But I thought, you know, my grandchildren, maybe one day they'll have children and they'll say, what was your grandfather all about? And so I started writing these stories, and then I got in touch with Johnny Russo and Darren Grubb, or they got in touch with me, and they helped me with the book along with the narrative. You know, these are all my words, but they helped me with the narrative. And I just wanted, and also I wanted people to know about some of the wonderful experiences in my life, and that you can too, that it's a triumphant story, you know, that I was knocked down a lot in my life. I mean, I was on my rear end thinking, I was brought to my knees so much that all I could do was pray. You know, that was the only hope I had, to pray. And I say all that in the book, how my faith got me through a lot of these things, you know. But what a life, what an up and down journey. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for the experiences I had. And by the way, the town you live in, Las Vegas, there's a lot of stories in this book about Las Vegas, the way it was when we were there.
Oh yeah, I cannot wait to read all the book. I only got from Johnny the first 20 page, so now I'm hooked to the first 20 page, and I have to have the rest of the book, which you have to sign next time I see you, Tom. So.
Glad to do that.
So people, you guys can find the book on Amazon, and I mean, you have to read it. Already the words of opening that I read the one of Clint Eastwood, but there is a very good one from your friend David Letterman.
Yeah, he's crazy.
Yeah, it's very funny. I was laughing by myself about David Letterman introduction to the book. How did you two got to become friends, and also in the early career for the both of you, right?
Yeah, the comedy team I was with broke up, so I came out here to the West Coast. Like I told you, I was struggling.
Yeah.
I went on stage one night at the Comedy Store, and when I came off stage, there was this tall, slim guy from Indianapolis in the parking lot. He had a little beard at the time. He had an old red pickup truck. He had no money, you know. And he complimented. He said, "Oh, I really enjoyed your performance." And I said, "Oh, what is your name, Dave?" And we became friends, and we've been friends ever since. And he went on to become so wonderfully famous, and rightfully so. And I did his show like 50 times. Yeah, that's four of us: Jimmy Walker, Jeff Altman, me, and Dave. We were playing racquetball.
I find, I mean, you know, an interview with you, Tom, can be just, I show a picture and I say, okay, tell me the story about a picture, because I read in your Facebook, every time you post a picture, there's some amazing, beautiful story. I found a picture of you and Clint Eastwood, and Gary Sinise had called you to do an event at the last moment for military, because you were a military, you're a GI, right? And you appeared to this event, and you were golfing with Clint Eastwood, and you take Clint with you, and you... I said, if I have a guest, I mean, those stories are priceless. Like, I can imagine those soldiers that suddenly they have you already as master of ceremony, and then I say, I brought a friend, and there is Clint Eastwood. I mean,
they went wild that night. Clint's an ex-GI too, you know. And Frank Sinatra introduced me to Clint years ago, and that's how we became friends. And Clint and I became instant friends, and we talk all the time. He's a character. Yeah, that was at
that's the picture.
Yeah, I was at a master of ceremonies at an event, and all the GIs, and Clint and I were going to go to dinner that night. He said, "What time you want to go to dinner?" I said, "Clint, I got to do a thing for the troops, and then I'll meet you." He said, "Hey, I'll go with you." I said, "Oh, they'd love that. They would," and they did, of course. They did that.
It's beautiful. You mentioned in the beginning that you said you start your career together with Tim Reed. So
Yes.
the first black and white comedian, and it's funny that you said we were the first and the last. There's never been this kind of, and you also maybe we have to spend a second. You have a lot of respect for Sammy Davis Jr. You said in an interview that they did a lot for you, and right now, you know, there is all this problem between black and white. I mean, it's absurd because we shouldn't see color. We should only see good people and bad people. That's all. But can you tell us how Sammy Davis Jr. was so respectful for you when you came here to Las Vegas the first time to do the concert together, opening for him?
Yeah,
It's
Sammy
beautiful.
actually I did a TV show called Sammy and Company, and I did a routine I grew up in a predominantly black neighborhood. My family was poor, so we grew up in a poor area of town, and so I played basketball on an all-black basketball team. I played football on an all-black football team. So I grew up around a lot of black guys, so I did routines about that when I first went on national television. And when I did Sammy's show, he like fell off the couch laughing at some of my routines. about being the only white boy in an all-black situation. And he laughed. So he took me on the road with him, and we toured all around the country. And then one night he came in my dressing room in Chicago. He said, "Have you ever worked Las Vegas?" I said, "No, I've been trying to, but I haven't." He said, "Well, you opened there for me January 1977. So I'm coming down the strip, dreaming all my life that I'd be working in Las Vegas. And there on the marquee, they're putting Sammy Davis Jr. and Tom Dreesen. And Sammy stopped the limo. The guys were working on the marquee. He stopped the limo and he got out of the car and he said, "Put his name up there bigger." And the guy turned around and he said, "What?" He said, "Oh my God." He said to his other buddy on the other side of the marquee, he said, Al, it's Sammy Davis. It's Sammy Davis. He came around and Sammy said, "Put Tommy's name up bigger." And the guy said, "We've got the bill right here. It says only, like 25%. He said, "It's my marquee. I want his name up there big." So my first time in Las Vegas, a lot of opening acts didn't even get their name on the marquee, but Sammy insisted because he never forgot his days of struggling. We go inside, and Nat Brandywine, the conductor at the Caesar's Palace, said to me at rehearsal, he said, "Tommy, you'll do 20 minutes. Sammy will do an hour and 10. We do 90-minute shows here." Sammy said, "No, Nat, it's Tommy's first time here, and he's got a score." And those days, they served food at Caesar's. The comedian went into the toilet. You're trying to do your act, and waiters and waitresses bringing food in and out, people eating. When people are eating, they can't laugh at you. They point the fork at you. They go like this, Yeah.
That's the applause.
So you don't hear laughter. So Sammy knew that. So he said, "Nat, this is Tommy's first time here. All the critics are going to be there. He's got to score. If he scores, they'll bring him back." So Sammy said, "I'll go out first. I'll do 3 or 4 songs. And when they're settled in, I'll bring Tommy out." And that's what he'd do every night. He'd do 3 or 4 songs. Well, when the waiters and waitresses see the headliner come out, they got to get that food out of there. They were taking food away from people who hadn't even started eating yet. They're hauling food out of there. Anyhow, Sammy would do 3 or 4 songs, and now he's got them in the palm of his hand. And he'd say, "Ladies and gentlemen, you've been a great audience for me through the years. You're like family to me. You supported me in my good times and my bad times." And when people do that for you, you want to do something for them, like maybe bring them a gift. "I've got a gift for you. I saw this young guy." And that's how he would bring me out every night. And my reviews were great. And, of course, I've been working Las Vegas ever since. He knew more about show business than almost anyone I've ever known. Sammy Davis Jr. could sing as good as anybody out there. Frank said he never heard Sammy hit a clinker. Wow. He said he never heard him hit it. He said Sammy could dance as good as anybody out there. He could do comedy as good as anybody I've ever known. He could do impressions better than anybody I've ever known. He could play the trumpet. He could play the piano. He could play the drums. There was nothing he could do on a stage. He was born to be in show business. He was. And the most that he isn't a, to me, they've never done a good movie about this guy. He was a brilliant entertainer and a good-hearted man. A good-hearted man.
Yeah, it's a beautiful story. I heard you saying somewhere, and thank you for sharing it again, Tom. But you mentioned something about golf and baseball and Chicago. Of these 3 things, which one is the most important to you? I know you love them both. You will sell your wife and children for them. If you have to choose some, what do they mean for you?
Not the children, but my ex-wife, yeah.
Yes, I saw you on the David Letterman saying a couple of funny... you're lucky that I was not your ex-wife, because as Italian, I would have killed you.
That's why I didn't marry an Italian. That's right. She was a good woman. She just didn't like show business, and I don't blame her. Her dad worked in a factory for 38 years and brought a check home every Friday, and they always had food on the table. When she married me, I wasn't in show business, so she didn't marry into that, and it was my dream, not hers, and I understand that. Pythagoras was a great mathematician, but he was a philosopher. Pythagoras said, "Life is like the Olympic Games. There are those who choose to get in the arena and go for the gold. There are others who choose to sit in the arena and watch those go for the gold. And then there are those who choose to sell trinkets to those who are watching those go for the gold. And you're one of those 3.
Wow.
I wanted to be in the arena. Yeah. My wife wanted to sit in the arena and watch you go for the gold, and she didn't want to sell any of them damn trinkets either."
That's true.
It wasn't her lot in life. But she was a good woman. She just didn't like show business.
And I mean, you have children, you have grandchildren, you have a great family. We never met, Tom, but one of the things that I admire and love about you is that you're very grateful, because You know, nowadays we have people that when I was filming my PBS special, I was going around the country, and the day before the concert, I was going to the university, either the foreign language of the music departments, and I have kids. I was talking to the students, and they raise hands nowadays, and the only thing they want to be is being famous. And I was telling everybody that if you want to be in any kind of business, first of all, you should not go for fame. You should go to make your craft the best that you can be, possibly be. So be willing to work hard on whatever you want. But they want to be famous, but they can sing, they can play, they can do nothing. They just want to be famous. And I had this discussion actually with Tony, I think either with Joe, with some of them, that nowadays with all these talent scouts that, you know, the American Got Talents and all these things, those kids start already on big television, big live things. And from there, Madonna said, they can only go down. But when they go down, they don't know, like me and you, how to stand up again. Because we're going to be knocking down a lot of time. You said it. How many times were you at top of your game and you were up again, down there again?
Many times. You know, showbiz, it's like a ladder. What you want to do, if you want to get to the top of that ladder, you don't want to go from the bottom rung to the top. Because then there's only one way to go, is back down again. So you want it, your career, you want it to go one rung at a time. And so when you get to a certain place, if you have to go back a couple of rungs, you've been there before. So it isn't new territory for you, you know. I give motivation speeches to kids today. The biggest problem in the system today is they keep teaching kids that they're victims, So they have a victim mentality, that this victim mentality, and I tell them, you're not victims, you're victors. And this is, I'm sure you have adults watching, but this is what I say to young students in college. I say, how many of you out there, first of all, I say, how long do you think you should live with your parents? And I was at one all-male college, and one boy raised his hand. He said, till we're 50 or 60 years old, if we want to. And I said, how many of you agree with that? A lot of the other boys raised their hand. I said, why do you say that? And he said, because we didn't ask to be here. So they've already made themselves victims. We didn't ask to be here. And I said to them, I don't want to give you a biology lesson, but when the male and the female make love, from the male comes 5 million seeds. Did you know that? I said 2.5 million die instantly. The other millions die along the way. And soon there's only 100,000 seeds left. There's 50,000. There's 10,000. There's 100 seeds left. There's 5 seeds left. 4, 3, 2, 1, you. I point at him. I say, you.
Yeah.
Don't tell me you didn't ask to be here. BS. You fought to be here.
That's beautiful.
I'm in a room full of winners. I'm in a room full of winners. Applaud yourselves. You all won. You were born a winner. 5 million to 1 that you would be here. You were born a winner. Now, what are you going to do with that victory? You know, it's your call. You can be whatever you want to be. You know, I don't care how many times you're knocked down. You know, I take a $20 bill and I hold it up. I said, if I gave you this, how many would want it? They said, I said, I crumbled it up. Would you still want it? Yeah, I crumpled it up really. I said, yeah, now I beat it. Would you still want it? They say, yeah. And I threw it down on the ground and I step on it and I grind it. I said, do you still want that $20? And they say, yes. I see, no matter how much you're beat up, knocked down, slapped, stepped on, you have not lost your worth. I open up, it's still worth $20. So.
Well, one of my favorite books to read is The Secret, and I love to listen to Anthony Robbins. Now, I know I love Tom Dreesen. I thought you were only good for laughs, but actually you're quite remarkable.
I love motivating people. By the way, when I give motivation speeches, sometimes I call it, the secret is you. You know, everybody's saying, what's the secret of success? I say, the secret is you. Once you go in here and you try to take care of all of that and get it for a reason, you know, I mean, Frank Sinatra, I got to tell you this story. We were coming out of Waldorf Astoria one night on our way to a show. We went out in New York City. We went out the back way because if Frank went out the front, he'd be mobbed. And we were rushing to the limo. The security was rushing us to the limo. And a woman jumped out of the doorway. And she started screaming, Mr. Sinatra, please, Mr. Sinatra, please. And the security held her back. The doorman told me she'd been hiding there for 5 hours. When we were getting in the limo, Frank turned around and she's screaming now, please, Mr. Sinatra, please. He walked all the way back. He said, what is it? She said, my husband is home sick and very ill. If you would sign an autograph, it would mean the world to him. He said, sure. And he's signing the autograph. She said, oh, what beautiful cufflinks. They were over $1,000 cufflinks. I know where he got them at. He said, thank you. He finished the autograph. He took the cufflinks off and he handed them to her. Said, give these to your husband. She said, no. I don't want them. I was just admiring them. He said, I know. I want your husband to have them. Now we get in the limousine, and I said, Frank, that was beautiful. But why did you do that? He said, Tommy, if you possess something that you can't give away, then you don't possess it. It possesses you. And I never forgot that as long as I live. When we got in the car, he said, Tommy, it's okay if somebody says, I like your Mercedes-Benz, and you don't give it to them. But when you're alone in the bathroom shaving, looking at that guy in the mirror, you got to admit to that guy, that car owns you because you can't give it away. He said, Aristotle Onassis, billions of dollars, mansions, yachts, private jets. The second he died, they all transferred. He was only using it. He said, Tommy, we're only using it. This stuff, none of it's ours. We're just using it. We're traveling through time and space, Anyhow, another lesson Frank Sinatra told me.
That's, wow, that's beautiful. Can we find all these kind of things and lessons in your book? What can we find in your book?
Yes, you can. You can find all that in the book. And I got to tell you, there's one other story that I'm not going to tell you, but it's in the book. But Frank Sinatra saved Johnny Carson from a mob hit. A very mean mobster in New York was going to kill Johnny Carson, and Frank Sinatra saved his life. Another man tried to take credit for that in a few books back, and that's the only reason I put it in my book, because Julie Rizzo, Frank's bodyguard, told me verbatim what happened, and then 3 weeks later, Frank Sinatra told me the exact same story, verbatim. And it might tease you to read the book, but he literally, without a doubt, saved Johnny Carson from a mob hit.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have to buy the Still Standing book. And by the way, does Tom Dreesen still standing? He's still commanding, no standing. You're still commanding us. You are like a teacher of life and things. And I mean, you're just amazing, remarkable, great. I have also one question, and let me see if I can find, because now you got me so into all your story. I forgot all my question, Tom.
Oh.
I have one question, actually. So, I am a singer, and that's what I do, but I love stand-up comedian, and I always say that I have a funny side of me. I can make people laugh just by, I don't prepare anything, I'm just funny by myself. So my question to you that I asked also to some other comedian, and none of them were actually very clear about. Do you think comedy is something that you possess because of is in your gene, or is something that you can learn? And I mean, being great, eh?
Yeah, but I tell you, I can teach, and I do, young comedians a lot about stage presence, mic technique, how to write a joke. When you're writing a joke, comedy is two things. Number one, it's 9/10 surprise. The audience laughs because they didn't think you were going to say that or do that. So the setup line has to hide the punchline. And the other rule is there are no victimless jokes. Who's the victim in a joke? Me, you, society, your daughter's dating a punk rocker or whatever. So two rules about writing a joke. But I can teach you a lot of things. I can't teach you timing. You either have it or you don't. And that's my point. A lot of people technically do stand-up comedy right, and some people are just innately right. And why I can't teach timing is because of the difference. And the only way I can make this analogy, Giada, is just pretend you're standing in front of a pond of water, and you pick up a rock and you throw the rock as high as you can in the air. And on its way down, it comes all the way down, and then it hits the water, and it ripples across the pond. Let's pretend that's laughter. You never move on the line, the next line, when the rock is on its way up. When the laughter's on its way up, you'd step on your own laughter. So some nights when I'm out there, the rock might be just on its way down a little bit, and I move on my next line. Some nights it goes right to the middle, and I move. Some nights I let it hit the pond, and then some nights I let it go up, down, hit the pond, and go all the way across. And then I move on my next line. I can't tell you before I go out there what I'm going to do because the audience sets that. So some nights, if I did a routine tonight at the Laugh Factory for 25 minutes, and then I did that in front of 140 people, if I did that same exact routine in front of 20,000 people opening for Frank, that same routine would take on a totally different dynamic because it's knowing when to move. You let that laughter ripple. You instinctively when to move on the next lines. Some nights, again, you can't plan that. I can't write that. I can't. You walk out there, and the way you're getting that feedback is when you move, knowing when that laugh has reached its peak. Some nights you sense it's not only going down, it's going to come back up again. That's a sense of timing that you have. That you let it happen, you let it ripple. And again, I can't teach that. I can teach everything else around that, but I can't teach that.
That sometimes I had this discussion with Clint Holmes, a great singer. We were talking about also learning to sing. everybody can sing in key, but not everybody can be as good as Frank Sinatra. Or I mean, I think there is you're religious too. I think there is a God-given talent for those things.
Well, you know, the talent you have is God's gift to you. What you do with that talent is your gift to God.
Absolutely.
You know? And so, but I mean, again, Clint Holmes, by the way, is an old friend and a wonderful performer.
We have another friend in common.
Yeah, I love Clint. We performed a lot.
Oh, I adore him. Yes.
But again, that Frank's skill of interpreting the lyric. You know, what did the writer feel? I've seen a lot of singers on stage do it technically well, but I didn't feel anything. You know, I didn't feel that you really. You know, Frank Sinatra, while he might have been a tough guy and act like not during a song, he was so vulnerable in a song. Listen to "I'm a Fool to Want You." That was after Ava left him. He went back in and re-recorded that song. Listen to the pain in that song. I'm a fool to want. Pity me. I need you. Oh boy.
Yeah.
There's another song. If you're a guy in a bar and a woman has left you, Frank sings a song called "If You Go Away."
The French one. Ne me quitte pas. Oh, yeah, of course.
If you go away on this summer's day, then you might as well take some. If you know. But if you stay, I'll make you a day like no day has been. He's begging her, please don't leave. But if you're in a bar and a woman left you and that song comes on, before the song is over, you'll put a gun in your mouth.
It's true. Clint Holmes came to see me. I moved to Vegas 2 years ago, so he came to see me at the Smith Center. And after the show, he came to me with Frankie Shinta. Maybe you know him too. And Frankie was crying, and Clint said that I was amazing, impressive, and he wanted to give me a gift because he said, you have a gift that you are a storyteller. And so he sent me for one free class with Larry Moss, the famous coach, because he said, he changed my life, and I want you, because you have this talent, to go to Larry Moss. And I understood the affinity of singing is storytelling, like you said. You have to feel the lyrics. Why were they written? What is the story behind every word? And Clint apparently said that was my talent, that I'm telling a story. It doesn't matter how perfect are my notes, but because he gave me the greatest compliment. That one day I'm going to have my memoir, I'm going to say. He said that I was singing all these songs he knew and everybody sang, but it was like he was hearing them for the first time because I made them my own, which also was a great compliment.
That's right. You know, I always thought Frank was a method actor, Frank Sinatra, because, you know, there's two types of actors, method and technique. I mean, you can overanalyze acting, but it's Boleslavsky and Stanislavski.
Yeah.
You know, I studied acting in Chicago and out here on the West Coast. But the best description of that, I always thought Frank was a method actor because one night he was telling me about the movie The Man with the Golden Arm and how he researched, you know, those days heroin addicts went to withdrawal cold turkey, you know, with no medication. And he went up to San Francisco and he watched them through a glass window, these men rolling on the floor and scratching them, and all they went through. And as Frank was telling me the story, he began to choke up and get tears in his eyes. And he was conjuring up that image in his mind of a long time ago. And that's what he did with the song. He was singing, you know, Frank Sinatra had this amazing skill that in front of 20,000 people, he'd walk out on stage and they're all around him and he'd start singing a love song or something. And the guy in the furthest seat, way up on top, would feel like he's in a bar with Frank. Frank knew how to bring it all down.
Amazing.
Bring it all down. And like all of a sudden, we were in a bar and Frank was singing to this guy or to that woman, you know. And he had an extraordinary talent. There'll never be, it's arguably the greatest career show business has ever known. Forget about that he's the greatest pop singer, a brilliant actor. He danced with Gene Kelly.
Oh.
And then the mystique, was he in the mob? You know, all that about him, you know. And he was a kid from Hoboken. When we were alone in the car, you know, he never went to bed till the sun came up.
Wow.
You know, whether we were on the road or off the road, Frank stayed up till dawn. And we'd be in a car alone driving around the desert, and he would become a kid from Hoboken, and I was a kid from Harvey. And that's how we talked to one another, you know. I miss him every day of my life. And,
I can imagine.
If you're a Sinatra fan, you know, his music was a soundtrack of your life.
Yeah.
But you went steady to his music. You got married to his music. You got divorced to his music. You got remarried. Love is lovelier the second time around. You know, I mean, and then My Way.
Oh.
You know, I would sing that song every night. It was a song before his closer was New York, New York, because he wanted to leave him on and up.
Of course.
But when he started singing My Way, all the lights would go down and the spotlight would hit him, and he'd start saying, and now the end is near, and people would burst into tears. We love you, Frank, we love you. You know.
I know there are many people that try to be Frank Sinatra, but honestly, there is one, and there will ever and always been one. For me, there are two great singers. It's Frank Sinatra and Ella Fitzgerald. For me, they were two untouchable entity.
For your trivia, Frank Sinatra is the only male artist to sing in 7 decades, and Ella Fitzgerald's the only female artist to sing in 7 decades. The 30s, the 40s, the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. And Frank in the 90s, he had this largest selling album was a duets album. But I want to tell you a quick story. One night, Frank was with Pavarotti, with Luciano Pavarotti, who he adored. Yeah, he adored Pavarotti. And there was a bunch of people there at the cocktail party, and Frank was talking to Luciano, and all of a sudden the whole room got quiet because they're all, what are these two great artists talking about? And Frank asked Pavarotti some technical musical question that you would understand more than me, but he basically said something. He said, Luciano, during your aria tonight, he said there was a moment when you took it from one octave to another, whatever he asked him, some real technical, and he went to hit it. He said, how did you do that? And Pavarotti said, he thought about it, and he said, I don't know, I just open my mouth, it comes out. and Frank fell on the floor laughing.
No technical answer whatsoever.
he thought Luciano was going to say, well, I hold my breath, I keep my diaphragm.
My diaphragm, yes, exactly, a technical answer.
But he thought about it. He said, I don't know, I just open my mouth, it comes out. You know?
Wow. Well, I'm good friend with Dina Martin, and Dina always tell at the concert the story that she saw that Frank Sinatra was doing some warming up apparently, but Dean Martin was not doing it, or is the other way around? Was Frank Sinatra doing warming up for his voice, or just opening his mouth and sing?
No, Frank always he had a thing that an old Irish guy taught him when he was a teenager, a vocal exercise.
Oh.
And I could hear Frank doing it at home or in the dressing room next to me. Even when we weren't working, he'd get near a piano. He'd go, come and take a walk with me. And then he did another key. Come and take a walk with me.
Okay.
Come and take a walk with me.
Okay.
He would keep hitting up another
whole scale.
Key. Yeah, upscale, you know. And so I would hear him doing that, you know, in the dressing room, and I'd hear him doing it at home, you know. And Dean, you know, Dean. See, but the difference is...
Dean was just going.
Frank was a pure singer from down here, from his guts. And Dean was and Dean was a great singer.
Oh, yeah.
But Perry Como, to me, they were one octave above talking, you know. Welcome to my world, won't you come on in? Just like a hair up from talking, you know.
Frank was more... and Frank was also demanding of himself, I think. Frank was perfections.
No question about it. There were singers, and there was Steve Lawrence, who's one of the great singers of our time, a wonderful singer. One night I was having dinner with him and Frank, and Steve said to Frank, you ruined it for all the rest of us.
It's true.
He said, because once they heard you sing, they knew exactly
was left for us.
I'll tell you something else. I said to Frank one night, what's the greatest concert you ever saw? And he, without hesitation, he said, Judy Garland. I said, excuse me, Judy Garland. He said, Tommy, when she walked out on stage, you weren't sure if she was going to make it to the microphone. This frail little bird. He said, and then she got to the microphone, and you're saying, oh, I hope she's going to get to it. He said, and all of a sudden, she sang from down here. He said, and I felt it in my chest. I felt everything she was singing in my chest.
Wow.
Whoa, that was from Frank. That was a great, you know. And I'll tell you another real quick story. He told me a story one time. It was raining in New York many years ago, way before my time. And Billie Holiday was one of his, he adored Billie Holiday. You know, you remember her story.
Of course.
Billie Holiday, this old this old singer, black woman who really went through a tough life. In fact, Diana Ross played her in Lady Sings the Blues. But Frank is a saloon singer, and by that he meant, you know, a singer of love songs. You know, people who were in a bar late in the morning. He called himself a saloon singer. Well, he saw Billie Holiday in the rain. She was out in front waiting for a cab, and he came out of a hotel, and he said they called her Lady Day. He said, "Lady, how are you?" She turned around. She said, "Oh, Frank, I'm fine." He said, "Could I give you a ride somewhere?" She said, "No, I need to be alone today." And he understood that. You know, he also would have those moods. He said, yeah. And she was getting into a cab, and she turned around. She said, "You're doing good, aren't you, Frank?" And he said, "Yeah, yeah." He said, I'm lucky." She turned sharply and she said, "Oh, Francis, you know why you're doing good? Because when you sing, you need somebody." And he felt that was a great compliment from another singer. When you sing, you need somebody. Ooh, what a great line. Yeah.
Tom, your story are priceless. Time fly like this with you. We can do like a 10 days episode only with you and your story. As I said, I mention a name and you go with your story. You are an amazing, beautiful soul. I know, I mean, this book is a must-have for everybody that really like me. I would buy it right away because, I mean, I love biography and your story is amazing. Talking to you, we understood that you are more than the stand-up comedian in sign language. You are really an amazing human being with all your ups and downs and still standing and still commanding all of us. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for spending an hour trying to fix the Skype things that we needed to have. Who else would do that if not Tom Dreesen, spending an hour to adjust the Skype for me? It's been an honor. I see a lot of comments of people that love you and they send love. A lot of people from Chicago. A dear friend of mine from Miamisburg, he loves you. Ronnie Manicotti, yes. He's been calling me and actually he adores you. I mean, you're going to have so many compliments. And all my friends in Italia, in France, in Spain, they may not know you. Now you have fans all over the world. And they can all buy the book, right? It's written in English. So guys, at Amazon.com, Tom Dreesen, you buy the book. You're going to learn the best stories about American history, music, and about one of the greatest men that we have here still standing and commanding us. Tom.
Yeah. Well, I want to someday in Vegas. I want to come there, and then you and I are going to have dinner, and JJ's going to cook it for us.
Well, it's better the other way around, that I cook and you guys. But okay.
Okay.
We're going to have dinner. We're going to have dinner together, and I hope that can happen soon. And thank you so very much, Tom. I feel like I was blessed today. I'm very grateful for your time, and I will read in the book, and then I will write you all my thoughts about it.
I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Thank you, Giada. Thank you, JJ. I got to run to believe it or not.
We love you. Yeah, you have another one. I know. Thank you, Tom. God bless you, man. This is a sign for I love you. We love you.
I love you too.
Well, guys, this was amazing of what I see. You guys are writing thousands of comments over there. He's an amazing man. You know, I spent time yesterday going through all this. There's gazillions of videos on YouTube. You guys should know. Go there and you see Tom Dreesen. You go in, all the Tonight Show, all the interviewers done. He's just an amazing man. And the stories, I mean, they're timeless stories. As I said, the interview could have been showing the pictures and he can go with the story. He's really a storyteller. He had an amazing life. And I didn't know actually it was that philosophic and that deep in our things, but it doesn't surprise me. I'm going to read the whole book. You guys should do it too. JJ, show the book again. It's called Still Standing. Thank you, Johnny Russo, for suggesting me to have Tom Dreesen as my guest, because it was really, truly amazing. It was like a live lessons today. You know how much I do appreciate and believe in visualizations and in believing in your dreams and things. And Tom is a living legend, and he has proved with his story that it doesn't matter how your story starts. The important is how your story will end, and that's what Tom Dreesen has been proving us all the way through his life story. So thank you to Tom, and thank you to Johnny Russo for introducing me to Tom Dreesen. I'm going to read all your comment. I see Richard Hunger say, good show. I'm watching Richard Hunger. Is it Tom Dreesen known in Ireland and in England? And I see Cecilia East. Guess also Cecilia is there. So guys, I'm having a sip of my coffee in my Giada cup. So yesterday I gave you the good news that you guys can order the cup and can be shipped also internationally, and you can have coffee with me. But before we go at the end, we go very fast to the birthday and events of the day, because today the program was long. Yesterday was short, today is longer. So June 16, thanks to Doug Hartline, our chief editor. Today in history, 1784 in fashion, Holland forbids the wearing of orange clothes on this day. Orange is the color of the Dutch royal family, we know that, and its association with them goes back to William of Nassau, who is also known as William Silent or William of Orange. He became of it's because of this that the estates of Holland banned wearing the color orange. Of course, things has changed now, as you see on the picture, because today orange is back the symbol of the old Dutch nation. And Doug was saying, California orange poppies are the state flowers and are considered happy flowers. Is orange the reason why Dutch people are happy people like JJ? Probably this, because JJ is very happy. In 1884, the first roller coaster in the United States opens in Coney Island, New York. Been there. It was 600 feet long and only traveled 6 miles an hour. Very slow, apparently. The 1 minute long ride cost at the time 5 cents. This is the kind of roller coaster that is more speed, my speed, said Doug, comparing to the one of today. It's too slow. Come on, you need some speed, Doug. And today, in 1902, the Wizard of Oz musical first opened in Chicago, Illinois, and it took 37 more years before they would make it into the famous movie that we all know. And in 1963, Valentina Tereshkova from Russia becomes the first woman in space. Look at her and all the medals she was awarded. A very, very good-looking Russian lady. And today, in 1967, the Monterey International Pop Music Festival opens in Monterey, California, which will run for 3 days, starts on June 16. Over 200,000 people attended and is often regarded as the precursor of Woodstock. So after or before Woodstock. Performers at the festival included some truly great pop music legends, including Jimi Hendrix, The Who, Janis Joplin, Otis Redding, the Mamas and the Papas, Simon and Garfunkel, the Byrds, the Animals, Jefferson Airplane, and the Grateful Dead. I never heard of the Grateful Dead. It's considered one of the greatest concerts of all time, with so much great talent assembled in one place. I can see that. Birthday of the day, June 16, today, Tuesday. 1890, Stan Laurel was born in Ulverston, England. His career started in 1907 when he joined a traveling group of actors which included Charlie Chaplin as the star performer. Soon he went to Hollywood, where he became a star in the comedy team Laurel and Hardy and made over 100 films. There is a recent movie in Dagestan about Laurel and Hardy called Stan and Ollie, which is really good. Stan Laurel was Dick Van Dyke's idol, and Dick tried to copy him. They all have an example. And actually, he also performed the eulogy at his funeral, and Stan willed Dick his famous hat. And Stanlio e Onlio, that's how we call them in Italy. They are famous also there. And in 1907 today, Jack Albertson, Tony and Academy Award-winning actor, was born in Malden, Massachusetts. He played many roles and was the grandfather in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which has the beautiful song Pure Imagination that Doug wants me to sing. And in 1937, Eric Sehal, author of Love Story and Oliver Story, was born in Brooklyn, New York. Thanks to him, we have the movie Love Story and one of Giada's most beautiful songs, that's what Doug's saying. Where do I begin to tell the story of how great a love can be? I love that song. So thank you to Eric Segal for writing Love Story. And today, in 1942, Eddie Levert is born in Bessemer, Alabama, and turns 78 years young. He was the lead singer of the O'Jays, famous for such hits as Love Train, Lonely Drifter, and Black Strawberries, which I do not know the last one. Thank you, Doug, for this birthday and events of the day. So today my guest was amazing. I mean, Tom Dreesen was a great surprise and discovery for me, and I know you guys in America knew everything about him. My guest tomorrow is going to be also fantastic. He's another best-selling author and, of course, movie producers is Adriana Trigiani, another Italian. By the way, Tom Dreesen is also half Italian. We forgot to ask about it. Adriana Trigiani tomorrow is an Italian-American best-selling writer. So this is the word for the sign language for writer. She's amazing. You're gonna love her. She's beautiful inside out, and it's just like Tom today. A woman you will discover is much more than her writing things. She's just a very soulful person, very deep, and opinionated, and we like this kind of people, and kind. And of course, and Thursday, my guest is going to be Lina Prima, a dear friend of mine too, Italian American, of course, and the youngest daughter of Louis Prima, the famous trumpeter and singer, the iconic singer. You got to discover also in Lina a wonderful person. So my voice came back a little bit comparing to yesterday, and I took a couple of nap and I ran, so I feel so much better today, as you can see. Please continue to like and subscribe here to my YouTube channel. We need to have more and more people here on YouTube, so please invite all your friends and family to join us here on YouTube. And I see actually that most of you are on YouTube, so all Facebook people, please move here on YouTube. It's a great place and you can write comments. Please make sure that you share and all the videos. When you are done on YouTube, please subscribe to YouTube, like the video, and write comments underneath if you want me to answer and comment, and I know all of you is doing. This is Giada Valenti. Today 2 p.m. we start every day. I'm here in Las Vegas, of course, but you can hear from my accent I am an Italian born and raised in Venice, Italy. I am actually a singer, and because of that I am so thrilled that June 26th I will be back on stage, even if the audience is not going to be in a theater with me. Together with Daniel Emmett, we are doing a concert entitled Close to You. Beautiful nights of duets and love song and fun. Daniel is a dear friend. We're going to be joined on stage by 3 amazing musicians, conducted by Jerry Williams, famous musical director of Donny and Marie Osborne. The show is going to be fantastic. One is at noon and one is at 6 p.m. Please buy tickets for both. They're only $25. And this is my new way of supporting myself, performing and doing concert this way. So I hope all of you will be buying both tickets, and then we are coming to you. You're going to be sitting on your couch with popcorns, wines, coffee on my cup. So order a cup, so you're going to have also my cup to drink coffee or Moscato like Janet did. You can drink anything in this cup. You go on portnoy.com, and also they can also be shipped internationally. And June 1st, we are all excited. Yesterday I told you we're going to have also wine included in my cooking demo. We're going to learn much more about wine, and there is going to be a direct link where you can buy also wine from Italy, an amazing wine from my region of the Veneto and Tuscany. So this was Giada Valenti from Las Vegas. Thank you all for your comments. I'm going to read them all. Thank you to Tom Dreesen, my amazing guest, to Johnny Russo for arranging it for me, to Ronnie Manicotti for kind of his help yesterday when we had some glitch with the interview. Guys, I love you. I see all of you there, all the names. I love you all. Thank you to Diane Fiorentino for the beautiful sign. And I'm going to be seeing you tomorrow, same time, same place, with my guest tomorrow, Adriana Trigiani. Ci vediamo domani, ragazzi. Thank you. I love you. A domani.
Dankeschön, dear old Dankeschön. Thank you for seeing me again. Though I'm here in my solitude, I know you are there, and in my heart I smile again. And so I sing here in my solitude, waiting to see you, same time, same place, and I can't wait to say again, Dankeschön, 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 dear old Auf Wiedersehen. See you tomorrow. A domani.